You've taken a wrong turn down Creep Street.
Citizens of the Milky Way, my name is Dylan Hackworth.
I'm Maureen Bogey.
And this is Creep Street. As always, up top, follow us on Twitter at Creep Street Pod, Facebook, Instagram at Creep Street Podcast. And real quick, you know we've got a Patreon, baby. And right now, I'm going to give our shout-outs to our Patreon subscribers at the $10 level.
Thank you, our Creep Street connoisseurs. We would literally die without these people.
Would die without them.
We would die.
Of course, the Dream, James Watkins. The Finnish Face via a Lungfist. The Heartbreak Kid, Chris Hackworth. The Vivacious, Vicky McHugh. The British Bonebreaker, Bex Martin. The Oh So Suave, Sean Richardson. The Madman, Marcus Hall. The Tenacious, Teresa Hackworth. And of course, the Notorious, Nicholas Barker.
Ooh.
If you would like to join them and get all that special content they get, head on over to patreon.com/Creep Street Podcast. And just so you know, that we've also introduced random content drops for all tier levels. We also have a Discord community now. So
Dylan just popped on over to the Patreon earlier this morning and posted some good stuff.
Hell yeah, that's right, baby.
For all Patreon.
For all patrons. I'm tearing down those walls.
Yes.
Tearing them down. Well, you know what? Oh, hot diggity damn. Boy, oh boy, we are, this is what you'd call by popular demand, I'd say. A lot of people have been reaching out to us because they wanted another one of these. I want to just give a little shout out to a listener named Zach Miarka.
Yes.
He, this was a few months ago, but he said, hey, are you guys going to do ritual games too? Well, guess what? We're doing ritual games too. Playin For Keeps.
Playin For Keeps, baby.
Playin For Keeps, baby. Roll those dice. And let me tell you something. These are you do not want to roll the dice on these motherfuckers.
Yes. I'm going to tell you, okay? These are scary.
These are scary.
These, you got to have some cojones, okay? You got to have some ovaries. You got to have some
just a set of grapefruits, you know what I mean?
Or just a set of bravery.
Sweet swinging set of bravery.
Yeah, whatever it takes. But yes, we thought this would be perfect for our second episode of the Halloween October season.
Absolutely.
You know, this will be good if you're feeling a little brave, a little cocky. Maybe you can try these out and let us know.
Yes. If any of our listeners has the courage to try one of these out, let us know how it goes. We'll share it on the show.
I also haven't told Dylan this yet, but we are going to play a game. We're going to play one of these ritual games.
Oh, boy.
And we'll post it on YouTube and social media and stuff, and we'll let you know. But it's not going to be one of these games we're talking about. It's going to be a different game. But now that we're here, let's do it. Dylan, can you get us started with a lovely, spooky, scary ritual game?
Yes. Now, just so everyone knows, the games we're each going to go back and forth with games. All of the ones I'm talking about, for the directions, I'm going to read it verbatim from where I found it on fandom.com, because with most of these games, as you can imagine, you got to do it to a T, otherwise your shit's going to get fucked up.
Exactly. You really can't fuck this up.
So I'm just going to read these verbatim, and then we'll discuss.
Oh, okay.
Our first ritual game of Ritual Games 2, Playin For Keeps, is one called Dry Bones.
Ooh, I love this one.
So, long story short, how this game works is essentially you are conjuring a demon forth, and you are asking it for something.
Okay.
Now, if you're able to carry out the ritual without interruption, you'll be granted that wish. Vice versa. If not, the demon can do with you as it wishes.
Okay, this is high stakes.
So this is what you'd need to play Dry Bones. A bathroom with a mirror, or just a handheld mirror will suffice. Some matches, and also ensure that you are absolutely alone in the house. And this includes pets, any other kind of animals nearby. The whole house has to be vacant.
Send your dog to your mom's.
That's right.
For the evening.
That's right. This game must be played at exactly 12:01 a.m. All the doors in your home have to be closed and secure. And this even includes cabinets and cupboard doors.
I also believe it includes like bags and things like that too.
Yeah, you're right. Like anything with an opening,
so like,
I guess.
If you have purses, zip them up, things like that. So it's basically every single thing that could be open needs to be closed.
Yeah. And then you turn off all the lights and all electrical devices. And then finally, Turn off anything that emits sound, so radios, TVs, all that jazz. When all is completely silent, you're ready to begin. If you hear anything that sounds out of the ordinary, then you should leave the house immediately and don't return until the next morning. It means he's already there watching you. And I'm assuming Dry Bones is the name of this demon.
Oh my God, that's scary.
Assume Dry Bones, and we're not talking about Mario Kart, baby.
I was just going to say that Mario Kart Dry Bones guy is cute.
I love that guy. So as we said, if you hear something, it means he's already there and watching, and you need to get the hell out of the house. But here's the thing, and we get this a lot with tulpas. They say sometimes even reading about this game can draw him near. Mm-hmm. So it's one of those things. Like, remember Slender Man? They always said,
yes.
They say even if talking about him draws him, which is just like, damn.
Yeah, it's like, what, you can't, this is a lose-lose situation.
Lose-lose, baby. Now, if you are able to continue, then you should focus your mind on something you want, something realistically achievable. So not like, you don't want to wish for you don't want to wish to fly. Now, if you win the game, then your wish will be granted. Light a match and wait until it burns out. It's very important that you do not blow it out. If the match lasts at least 15 seconds, then he is pleased with you, and you may continue. Note, and this is what the writer of the article said, note, I haven't found anything specifying whether you can light another match if the first one does not last for 15 seconds. That is your own choice.
Okay.
Lie on the ground and say, I am aware of your presence, and I welcome you into my home, but not into my body. Come now.
Wow.
You should now get up and go into the largest room of your house. The next part may take 5 minutes or 5 hours. There's no set time, so you will need to be patient. When and if he's already there, then you will hear a low sound nearby, most commonly an unearthly moaning sound. If you should hear anything different, especially a voice of any kind, or feel a sensation of pressure on your body, then you should immediately leave the house. He will try and find you, so you must hide quickly and remain quiet. You must remain hidden until 3 a.m. Only at this time is it safe to come out. If he catches you, he will do with you as he wishes, and I expect it won't be pleasant. If anyone comes home while you're playing, then they will be in grave danger of possession or worse.
Damn.
Lock your door from the inside before playing. This can be a fire risk, so make sure the keys are handy, especially when using matches.
Oh, yeah.
If you successfully last until 3 a.m., then you must go back to the largest room of your house and say, thank you for playing, but please leave now. You are no longer welcome. There should be a noise in acknowledgement, and the game will be over. If you do not hear a noise of some kind, then you should repeat that he is no longer welcome and the game is over. This can sometimes take a few repetitions. If you have won, then your prize will be awarded soon after. Some people report that it was waiting for them when they awoke the next morning. And a final warning, your wish should not be to bring harm to anyone. There's a grave price for making this sort of deal with him, and he may decide the game was not enough to honor it. Only play the game once. These are ending rules here.
Okay.
Only play this game once.
Got it.
And 2, just because you've asked him to leave, it doesn't mean he won't visit again. He cannot harm you unless you play this game again.
Okay.
Well, there you go.
Well, there you go.
Sounds like don't play the fucking game.
Just don't.
How about just don't do
skip
that?
It. Well, it's kind of sucks because you can't really wish for anything that you couldn't just do yourself.
Absolutely.
Well, since we're already, this ritual started in the bathroom.
Oh, let's take it to the bathroom.
So we're gonna
take it to the John.
We're gonna keep it in the bathroom. And actually, a lot of ritual games take place in the bathroom.
They're bathroom centric.
And I think I would be curious to know more about the origins of that. But I gotta assume that the main thing is that bathrooms are just very dark. Often they don't have windows, or if they
that's true.
If they do have windows,
and they're private to some degree.
Right.
They're typically used privately. So
So I think it kind of makes sense. And it also has a mirror.
It makes sense. All the accoutrement is there for you too.
So this one is called Baby Blue.
Baby Blue?
Baby
Blue spelled B-L-E-U, like a blue cheese?
Blue, just like the color blue.
Ah,
baby.
okay.
And this game, I'm going to be honest up top. It sounds bad.
Well, Baby Blue just sounds like a damn good love song. It just sounds like an Elvis tune.
Yeah, I've had the song Jackie Blue stuck in my head.
Yeah.
Like, ooh, Jackie Blue. That
Yeah.
song's been stuck in my head. So here's the thing with Baby Blue.
Okay.
You got to do this solo. You go into the bathroom and you close the door, obviously. Turn off all of the lights.
Okay.
Now you need to look in the mirror and kind of hold your arms in like a cradle position, in the way you would hold a baby. And then you say, Baby Blue, 13 times.
Okay.
So I think you say, it's not you say Baby Blue 13 times, you say Baby Blue 13 times. So you say Baby Blue a total of 26 times.
I see. Okay.
Yes. So once you have completed that, you will feel the weight of a baby in your arms.
Okay.
And then you're holding a baby. That's kind of the reward.
The reward. Okay.
But then you need to flush the baby down the toilet. I think you literally just like let your arms go above the toilet because you don't see a baby.
Right. It's the feeling of holding.
It's just
a
like
child.
of weight. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
you just flush. And the reason you do that is you need to do that before a woman appears in the mirror and screams at you to give her baby back.
Jesus.
The woman can even scratch you if you do not act fast enough. People have reported that they have been scratched. There was even a report, this was from years ago, but
Right.
that a young girl named Laura was playing this game with her friends at a sleepover. She went in the bathroom by herself to do it. A lot of time went by and she wasn't coming out. Earlier they had heard some screams, but the girls that were at the sleepover, they didn't really know what to do.
Right.
Eventually, a parent kicked down the door and Laura was in there with her eyes scratched out.
Jesus God.
So, I don't know. Some people claim that the lady in the mirror who's yelling for her baby back is the infamous, the notorious, the sexual, the sensual Bloody Mary.
Really?
Okay? Yes, that is from, you might remember that from our first Ritual Games
Really?
episode. It's a
Okay.
classic ritual game.
So this is like the spin-off. This is the Frasier to the Cheers of,
Exactly.
of Bloody Mary.
Yeah, I couldn't actually word it any better. This is literally Frasier. Yeah, so this one is kind of interesting because you're kind of like, oh, this is like weird.
Right.
But at the same time, it's like, I don't really understand what's like fun about it other than just kind of having that adrenaline rush.
Absolutely.
Which is,
Hey,
enough.
we all love
I
that,
guess.
baby.
So Baby Blue, maybe give it a try. That would be one I would be willing to actually try.
Well, I wouldn't
Because
want to
I'd be
just
like-
put a baby down the fucking toilet.
No,
I don't
that's
like
true.
that. That's the one thing. It's like, well, what?
I kinda
How
forgot
about
about
I
that.
just give her the fucking baby back when she wants
I
it?
think that's like the way you give it back is the idea.
Seems a pretty.
But I don't know how that would work. Just don't. I
Yeah.
think sometimes we try to think so logically and it just doesn't work that way.
Yeah, what's she gonna say when she says, "Give me my baby back," and you're like, "Sorry, flushed it."
She'll be like, oh my God, thank you so much.
Yeah, it's just that's weird.
So anyway, Dylan, what do we have next?
Our next ritual game is called Bed of Sorrow.
Okay.
Once again, Bed of Sorrow, I'm reading this verbatim from fandom.com. The Bed of Sorrow is a legend from many ancient ghost stories and folk tales that have over time become merged into the story we know today. It is practiced in small numbers by those who either believe in its supposed power or who simply seek a thrill in the manner of other haunted games such as Bloody Mary. The legend states that the Bed of Sorrow was used by a poor soul long since departed who would weep day and night into the sheets, unable to be consoled as they withered away into that bed, never leaving, not even to eat, drink, or relieve themselves. In time, the inevitable occurred, and the tragic figure died, still weeping. Although they were removed from the bed and given a burial, the bed itself would begin to exhibit unnatural properties, such as the once white sheets turning a shade of red. A feeling of continual dread surrounded the bed, and thus, if the story is to be believed, it was destroyed in an effort to end what many believed was a curse left behind by a restless spirit. As with such stories, however, the bed is said to somehow materialize even to this day, and those who seek it out are said to find any abandoned house and search for a single room with a red door that appears locked. Knocking on the door twice opens it, and the explorer may enter. Upon doing so, they will notice that the room is completely empty with no furniture or windows. The only object to be found is a single bed in the middle of the room with red sheets.
Yikes.
This is when the explorer has a choice to leave the room and never return, as many do. Yet if one dares to proceed, they may close the red door behind them and make their way to the bed and lay down on it, making sure to lay on top of the sheets.
Okay.
As they lay on the bed, they must close their eyes and remain deadly still. The sound of weeping will fill the room, and the sound of knocking will come from the red door. One must keep still and never open their eyes, no matter how loud the weeping gets or how violent the knocking becomes. The bed will seem to shake, but once again, one must not open their eyes or move. Eventually, the shaking will stop and the room will go silent. At this point, a voice will whisper from the dark, "It is done." At that moment, one must open their eyes and leave the room, being sure to close the door behind them and not look back. One must continue to exit the house and head back home without looking back or talking to anyone or anything on the journey back. Should a figure in red appear at any point during one's journey home, run and do not stop. Should a figure in white appear, however, keep walking and under no circumstances begin to run. Should one make it home, immediately go to the bed and sleep in your bed.
Right.
When one awakens, all feelings of doubt and grief will vanish. The story claims the bed of sorrow shall take away one's troubles for up to 7 days.
What?
Following the encounter. But should any of these steps be missed or broken, the weight of one's grief and doubt will increase tenfold every day until one can successfully complete the tasks.
Good Lord.
Okay, I'm gonna call, first of all, a week?
That's a lot of work for just a week.
What the fuck? That is the dumb. What happened to just saying someone's fucking name 3 times?
Right.
Like that is so much work
That is a lot of
for
work.
a shitty payoff.
Like going into an abandoned house and all
Then you
that.
got to do all that shit, but you only get a week out of it?
Yeah, it's going to be a no.
Fuck that. 5 ways from Sunday.
That's just, I got to say, it's like you got to work smarter, not harder.
All right, well, what's next?
Next, we are going to talk about the game called Red Book. It is,
Okay.
Yes, it is also called El Juego del Libro Rojo. It means the Red Book game. So this game is a Mexican game.
Okay.
That is kind of about a little bit of a fortune-telling type game, okay? Now, it is important to remember, I'm going to say this up top, it is of the utmost importance that you do not anger the spirits with your questions.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, what, so just like, are we there yet?
I mean, that is annoying, but I'll get to it. Oh, also, by the way, I mainly used Thought Catalog
Cool.
and Reddit, as well as fandom, just so we have that up top. Draw the curtains and turn off the lights. Sit in a circle with the other participants. I've also heard about people doing this alone.
Okay.
So I don't really... That's kind of up to your discretion.
Right.
You'll sit in a circle with the other people playing, or you're by yourself, and you light a red candle in the center of the circle, or, right in front of you. Then you need to close your eyes. Place your palm on the book's cover.
Okay.
So you are holding a red book.
And it can be anywhere.
It can be any red book, but it needs to be hardcover, and it needs to be full of text. So like no, pictures in there or whatever. So you close your eyes, you place your palm on the book's cover, and you say out loud, "Red book, may I enter your game?" You can say this in English, obviously. It's kind of what you can say it in Spanish. Your own language is fine. So you keep your eyes closed, you open the book to a random page.
Okay.
And you just place your finger anywhere on that page. Then you need to open your eyes, read the sentence, and this is your answer. This game requires interpretation.
I was going to say, because you might open it and it could literally just say, Jane exited the vehicle before heading into the pharmacy.
It could. And then you would say...
what does that work?
And I would probably be like,
I need to
exiting, that means no. You know?
Right. Or exiting saying like, I need to get out of this situation.
Exactly. So it's a lot of up to your interpretation, which adds a little bit of a wishy-washiness in a good way, in a kind of a scary way. It kind of ups the ante a little bit. If the answer is negative or nonsensical, which, like we said, can happen, contact has not been made. you need to try again. So you need to do the whole thing, ask the red book may enter the game. You've got to do that again. If the answer is positive, you may proceed. Now, if you're playing this game with a group, every single person in the group needs to do this, and every person needs to get a yes.
Okay.
So it's not like one person is kind of playing it while a bunch of other people are watching. It's like if you're there, you're doing it.
You're part of it.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
So then you close your eyes, place your palm on the book's cover, and then you ask your question. You need to say it aloud. And then you kind of do the same thing. You keep your eyes closed, open the book to a random page, put your finger down, and there you have your answer. Interpret it as you will. Pass the book around, and everyone has their chance to ask and to check in. Now, as I mentioned before, there are questions that you are not supposed to ask because you don't want to disturb this spirit.
Right.
The person you're talking to, or the spirit you're talking to, it could be someone that has passed, it could be someone you know, it could be someone you don't know. It could be, is it a spirit like it's a person that has lived?
Right.
Is it some sort of ethereal being? It's not totally sure.
That's a good question. Yeah.
So there are some questions that you are not supposed to ask. One is, show us a sign that you're here or make something move so we know that you're here. That's offensive, because they're like, bitch, I'm playing this game with you. Number 2, don't ask how did you die. They probably don't want to fucking think about that right now.
Right.
Don't ask when am I gonna die. They probably are just like, bitch,
Right.
I don't know. And also don't ask like, hey, can I speak to someone? Like if you have a relative that has passed or something. This is not that kind of game.
Right.
Okay? You were speaking to who came to, check in. So
Also, don't ask for autographs.
don't ask for autographs. No selfies.
No selfies. Don't
You know.
ask about their weight. Don't ask about that breakup.
When all of the questions you want to ask have been asked and you're ready to finish the game, you place your palm on the book once more and ask aloud, always ask aloud.
Okay.
Red book, may I leave your game? Then do the same thing. Open the book randomly, put your finger down. Read the sentence that is your answer. If the answer is negative or nonsensical, you do not have permission to leave the game.
Okay.
You need to try again. If the answer is positive, you can leave the game. Similarly, as I said at the beginning, every single person in that circle needs to be released from the game.
Okay.
When all have had permission that they finish the game, you close the book, blow out the candle, open the curtains, turn on the lights, and it's done. The thing is, this game may seem harmless.
Right.
And I gotta admit, I think it kind of is. But there are some things that aren't super clear. For example, I haven't really heard any information on what happens if you do anger the spirit. I don't really know. Do they follow you and cause bad luck? Will they not leave your home? I'm not really sure. It's not super clear. I did read a story of someone who played this game, and he played it alone, and he wasn't able to finish the game on his own because his family came back home and opened his door and all of that stuff. So he
Right.
wasn't able to ask to leave the game. And he did say that the evening with his family was super, super emotional and high stress. And, yeah. Nothing necessarily super bad happened. He said after that night, it was okay.
Right.
But he did say that he got in a huge fight with his mom, and he said that it just was out of the ordinary.
Interesting.
So I don't know. Red Book, it seems like a fun game, but I'm a little nervous, I gotta say. All right, Dylan, suck it to me. What's next?
Coming up next, I like the name of this ritual. This one's called The Man in the Fields.
This one makes me scared.
This one's a classic, baby. This one goes back a while.
I mean, a long-ass time.
This ritual has been passed down throughout the centuries, and it originates in the British Isles during the Middle Ages. And it was viewed there as a means of devil worship by the Puritans, but it was also seen as a way to protect your home by those who knew what they were really dealing with in the fields.
There we go.
It wasn't a devil, they said. It was something else.
Yes, I love that. Okay.
If completed successfully, the ritual will ensure 1 year of safety. There we go. That's a little bit better.
That's good. A whole ass year.
Right. 1 year of safety, physical, fiscal, and or mental, depending on the events during the ritual.
Okay, this is tempting.
That's
This
a little
is like,
better.
okay, wow, 1 full year
Right.
of protection.
Well, don't they say, what is it, like breaking a mirror 7 years? 7 years for breaking a fucking mirror?
For a goddamn mistake?
But I gotta go lay in a fucking creep's bed and walk home for a fucking week's
For
worth
7
of...
days?
7 days? Fuck that.
Shut it down.
Fuck that. So here's what you'll need. A house in the countryside, preferably with a field of crops out back. Technically, all that's required is a large backyard, and the larger the better, but success has only come from houses in the countryside.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay.
You'll need a candle. Attempting to use a flashlight, a cell phone, or any other, source of electronic light will be unsuccessful, and it'll cause the light source to flicker and die after only a few seconds, which is why either a candle or an oil lamp or any sort of non-electric illumination is recommended.
Okay.
You're gonna need a crucifix, baby.
Oh, you got to.
You're gonna need a watch or a clock to carry around with you, and again, cell phones will not work for this.
I was just going to say,
Don't use your, it's
a
gotta be
lot of times these things ask for, a clock or a watch, and it needs to be a goddamn clock.
It's gotta be analog, baby. Gotta be analog.
Unplug.
That's right. So to begin the ritual, make sure it's late enough for no one to be around outside, and make sure that the sun has set. The being that this ritual is based around will not appear if anyone other than the summoner is around to detect its presence. The earliest successful summon was at 9 o'clock. So you want to do it at 9 or after.
Okay, got it.
You light your candle, you go into your backyard, and you whisper 7 times, "But who will scare the crows away?" while facing the house. On the 17th whisper, you should hear from behind you, "That's not your biggest problem." Walk back to the house without looking back. As soon as you reach the house, get inside and close the door. Now the ritual begins. Everything in your house that can open has.
Damn.
So take your crucifix into the room with only one door, close the door, and leave it there. That will be your safe room in case the ritual goes wrong.
Okay, got it. So you have a little safe zone.
Yes,
Okay.
you got a little safe house there. Make sure all the doors, cupboards, cabinets, and whatever else that can open is closed. If he gets into your safe room, you're doomed. Your goal is to close everything that is open before your watch reaches midnight. This sounds easy in description, but think about it. Every bag, every door, every window, every container in your house has to be closed.
Yeah.
Even a can of peanuts.
So this is another thing, kind of like the other game.
The challenge isn't closing them all, it's remembering them all.
Right. That's where like the bag thing comes in.
Yeah.
It's like you might forget that you had some like bag in the back of your closet.
That's true. Now, as you make your way through the darkened house, you're going to notice out of the corner of your eye a man dressed in simple farmer's clothes out of the corner of your eye, as we said.
Fuck.
His skin is ash gray. Don't look at him. And whatever you do, don't look directly into his eyes, but don't be afraid of him either.
Okay.
This is not the man in the fields. He's merely a herald. A referee of sorts to make sure that you're closing every container. He'll be following you, but will not get in your way. Make sure not to look out into your backyard, because if you do, you will notice that there is a scarecrow that wasn't there.
God.
Its head is a cow's skull, and its limbs are impossibly long versions of human beings' arms and legs.
God, I fucking hate that.
While the skin on its arms and legs is pale, they are not skeletal. The only thing that is missing is a head. If you fail this ritual, or you do not reach your safe room in time, he will take your head.
Fuck.
The reason I was telling you not to look out at the backyard is that you will notice the scarecrow. He will also notice you. The reason I was telling you not to look into the backyard, it's not only that you will notice the scarecrow, it's that the scarecrow will notice you. He will begin to get off his post. And this is the man in the fields.
Okay.
If you don't look at the backyard and you don't see the post and the scarecrow, you'll have until midnight to complete the ritual. If you are 100% sure that everything in your house that can open has been closed, make your way to bed and go to sleep. For exactly 1 year, you will have complete and total safety in everything you do, depending on when you started the ritual. If you started at 3 hours from midnight, you will only be completely physically safe. A lot of people have used this to elong their lives past where they would normally end. If you started 2 hours from midnight, you'll not only be physically safe, but financially safe for a year. You could quit your job and still never have a need for money. Either you win the lottery or people just feel compelled to give you things for free. However, you will need to set up a plan for the end of the year, as your safety will wear off then and you will lose all the money you have won. Make sure to either set up a business or make some smart investments.
So you can't just like have it sitting in your bank account.
Exactly.
You'll get audited or some shit.
Right. If you started the ritual 1 hour from midnight, somehow managed to finish it, highly unlikely, you will be completely and totally safe for a year. None of your actions will ever have any negative consequences. If you did look at the backyard, if you saw the man in the fields, you will not get any of this, not even if you finish the ritual. If you looked out at the backyard, the man in the fields will get down off his scarecrow post, he will look at you, and he will begin sprinting.
Oh my god, that's so scary. The sprinting, fuck.
You have a minute at most to get to your safe room. Run inside and lock it tight, and double check to see if everything is closed inside. You do not want him getting in. You will have to endure his scratching and clawing at the door, shrieking threats and promises of mercy if you open the door. Whatever he says or does, do not open the door. There is no circumstance in which you should ever leave the safe room to confront the man in the fields. Good luck and stay safe.
That is scary.
Freaky.
But I understand, especially why back in the, the Middle Ages, people were like, let's do this.
Yeah.
Honey.
At least you're getting a year out of it. But here's the other thing. I thought it was you do it, and then for a year you have good luck, and then when that year's out, you just have your everyday luck.
Right.
Good things happen, bad things happen. It's sounding like once you do this, you got to kind of re-up every year, like it's a fucking subscription service.
It does kind of seem like that.
Yeah, it's like paying for Amazon once a year or some shit.
Right. Maybe if it's more of the dire circumstances where maybe someone physically really unfortunately wasn't gonna be able to be alive much longer, so then it's like they do have to keep re-upping it. But I would think maybe like if a young, healthy person did it just kind of like
because you want money or something, it just seems like that's gonna bite you in the ass. Even more so than it would if you were for physical reasons.
Well, with the financially though, they say though if you like invested or something, then
That's
you're good.
true,
It's like you can't just
too.
you need to spend it. You can't just like hold on to the money, right?
Right. Well, I'm guessing like say you were to keep it all in cash in your house. I'm guessing your house could burn down.
Exactly.
Or something.
That's why I'm saying you need to spend it.
What's the next one?
Now we're gonna play Devil Face. Okay? Well, we're not going to play it. We're going to talk about it. This game, I don't think I've ever actually played this before. I've definitely been asked to play this game.
Really? I've never heard of
Pressured
this.
to play this game. Yeah. Like when I heard about this when I was younger, it wasn't so formal as this.
Right.
The idea was kind of like, hey, go in the bathroom in the dark and scare yourself.
Yeah.
But this is a little bit more full-figured.
Full-figured. It's got more aroma. It's got
some stank on it.
It's got some stank.
Like I said, I have heard of this game in Chicago, but apparently it originates in Spain.
Interesting.
España, if you will. The idea of this game is that you can see the face of the actual devil in the mirror. So just before midnight, you gotta lock yourself in the bathroom and turn off all of the lights. You need to stand in front of a mirror and light 12 black candles. So you need to have some counter space, okay? Maybe a double vanity. 3, close your eyes and keep them closed until the strike of midnight.
Common theme, okay.
Yes, in a way that they recommend to do it is wait until you hear the clock strike midnight. So ideally kind of they don't outright say don't use your phone or whatever, but your phone is going to illuminate light. So that sound of a clock chiming, letting you know that it's midnight is a good way of doing it.
Sounds like these demons aren't for digital tech.
They're not.
Like instead of Spotify and shit, like they're just like they want their records.
They want a record, which I respect. It does sound better. But, it's not as convenient.
Not at all.
You can't bring it on the go.
Yeah.
They're figuring it out. They're like ancient beings. You know what I mean? It's like you got to give them a minute to, they're still thinking about fucking...
Steely Dan.
Yeah. The clock strikes midnight. You can open your eyes. And there you will see the devil before you in the mirror. And that's kind of the end game. I guess it's just to scare yourself by knowing what the devil looks like. But who knows? A lot of people say the devil looks very friendly, very handsome, very amiable, kind of like what you were saying earlier. So I don't know. But I think the idea is this is the form where he's spooky, scary,
I would assume.
horn man. I heard a story of a 16-year-old playing this game in Spain. His name was David. He's playing with, it was a teenage party, you know.
Right.
It's, you know, they're hanging out probably in someone's parents' basement.
Right.
You know? They probably weren't having natty lights because they're from Spain, but they're probably having the Spanish equivalent to nasty beer.
Yeah.
So this boy, David, goes into the bathroom and he does this game himself.
Right.
And after a while, the teenagers were like, where is he? You know, this was only supposed to take like a couple minutes. Like, what the fuck is going on? Very similar to the Baby Blue story. They finally were able to get open the door and they saw David lying on the ground, clutching his chest.
Okay.
A strong smell of sulfur filled the air. Took him to the hospital. Apparently, the doctors said it was a stroke. Apparently, he is still confined to a wheelchair and has trouble speaking. These teenagers, they said that they had trouble sleeping for months because it so traumatized them.
Well, plus your friends hurt.
It's also their friends' fuck.
Like, that's just, you feel bad. It's like, even if it wasn't because of this game, it's like you feel bad. You feel like, oh, this activity we did, in it, even if it wasn't directly or inadvertently, yeah, you probably feel like shit.
Yeah. Now, you know what? Is this story real? I don't know.
No.
But is it fake? I also don't know, okay?
Yeah.
So I'm just going to say, if you want to play this game, the Devil's Game, proceed with caution. Now, I would love to talk about an amazing game, another kind of fortune-tellery type game.
All right.
Hailing from Japan. Sujiura.
Okay.
Once again, gotta say it. Sure, I'm saying this wrong. You understand. But it is also known as the fortune game or the crossroads game. This, kind of similar to the Red Book game, is kind of a divination or fortune-telling game. Now, up top, gotta say, there have been a lot of reports of suicide because of this game, because people don't like the outcome of this game. Please don't. This is not science, okay?
Right.
Don't take this too seriously if you try this on your own. And if you do try it, please let us know, because we want to know.
Yeah.
So I love this game because I love how it really connects to so many different cultures and different ways that people all over the world similarly interpret things or find things to be true. You know, like for example, like every culture basically dragon myth.
Right.
So this, what I like about it, is that it takes place at crossroads. And I'm not talking about the Britney Spears flick, okay, even though I love it.
Right.
I'm talking about literally crossroads, like where roads intersect, things like that.
Right.
Now, crossroads have a huge importance in folklore and supernatural beliefs across the world. For example, werewolves transform in crossroads. The Fae can enter the human world when they're at a crossroads. Apparently, memory spells and love potions are more potent when they're made or received in crossroads. And something that probably might be ringing in your head if you're American is thinking about, you know, the devil down at the crossroads,
right,
making a deal.
Robert Johnson, all those, I think it was Robert Johnson, the old the bluesman who the legend was he sold his soul to the devil to be able to play so damn good.
And it worked. So, like we said, crossroads, it's all over the world. It's important and it means something. Also, just kind of in general, in terms of paranormal activity spiking, or you could even call it a flap, I guess.
Right.
A lot of times these things happen in places of transport. So, for example, like airports, train stations, and also crossroads make sense too because they're neither here nor there.
Right.
So it only makes sense where that energy is there, that you can go in different directions, that maybe the other side would be able to kind of communicate with us in places like this. So how this game works, it can only be played by one person, but there can be bystanders, friends hanging around.
Right.
So what you need is one comb, like a hair comb, something to cover your face.
Okay.
And that can be lots of different things. They mention like you can use a veil. It doesn't necessarily have to be like a full ass wedding veil, but just some sort of sheer fabric over your face. I wonder if maybe if you just like wore a mask like we're all wearing now and just with sunglasses, if that would be enough.
Okay.
I actually don't know. That's
a good
something
question.
You should look into, please, if you're interested in doing this. But some sort of way to cover your face for sure. And also, of course, a crossroads.
Yeah.
So you gotta do it at night. You know, you guys, we've covered this. It's gotta be at night. You get to the crossroads with your stuff and you make the comb speak. What that means is you just like run your thumb or a finger down the sides of the comb.
Okay.
And they do the like ding, 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 ding,
Right,
ding,
the
ding.
little scratch noise.
Yeah. You do that. You strum the teeth of it with your finger 3 times. And then after that, you repeat the following words 3 times. Sushi ura, grant me a true response. Then you just wait. You wait for anything. Also, by the way, I should have clarified this before. There needs to be no one there except you and, you know, whatever friends you have there with you if you want. So
Right.
you, like, let's say you couldn't do this at Times Square or
Right.
whatever. It could be a place that's busy during the day, but, you know, at night, pretty slow.
I think this is the first one we've talked about that requires a sound.
Right? I like that.
Obviously most of them require something said.
Right.
Or, candles or water or the lights off.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the first thing that actually requires a sound. And it's funny that we compared it to the Robert Johnson thing because it is almost a little musical in nature.
Exactly. Like maybe that makes sense. You need to create some sort of music to gather their attention. I always kind of associate music with fairies too. So that's something similar with the fae. I don't know about werewolves and music. I'm sure they enjoy
dig it.
Who doesn't love a good tune?
That's right.
You know,
Little Warren
especially
Zevon.
Come on, we love it. So, if no one approaches the crossroads, the ritual has failed. Do not proceed. Do not, okay? You may try again, but at a later date.
And there's no penalty if it doesn't work out, right?
No penalty. It's just you can't try it again.
See,
right
that's
then.
nice.
Yeah, you're just like, okay, it didn't work, and goodbye.
You know what? There you go.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. Nothing. If it doesn't come off right, it's nice to know you're not fucked.
Totally. If someone you know approaches the crossroads, the ritual has failed. Do not proceed. You may try again at a later date. If a stranger approaches the crossroads, the ritual has succeeded and you may proceed. So as soon as the stranger gets to you, make sure your face is completely covered. It should have been already, but just, make sure. And do not uncover your face until it is safe to do so, which will come later, I'll tell you. When the stranger is close enough to speak to you, you may request that they tell you your fortune. Be polite and always ask. Do not demand. Similar kind of to the Red Book too. Be respectful of this spirit or person or whatever you're talking to. Also, since I'm really reading this kind of how Dylan said before, really word for word, because I don't want to mess anything up. Really quickly, I just want to say I got this from theghostinmymachine.com, and
Oh yeah, I remember that website. I think
we've used it before.
I think we used them for the first ritual game.
Oh, I think we did. That's right.
Yeah, they're a good site.
Yeah, so this author right here just has a first name. It says Lucia or Lucha, however you want to pronounce it. So thank you to them for this. Just wanted to give them a shout out. So if the stranger does not answer, that's okay. Just do not proceed and let them go. Then you can just wait for another stranger to approach and try again. You don't need to start the whole thing over. You just go back to waiting. If the stranger refuses you, same thing. It's okay. If they say no, that's okay. You just wait for the next stranger to approach. If a stranger agrees, then of course you may proceed. When the stranger has finished speaking, when they have finished telling you your future or answering your question or whatever it may be, you need to thank them for their time and let them go. When the stranger is completely gone, you may then remove your face covering. Then you just go home and you know what? You just live your life. This stranger isn't gonna follow you.
Well, that's good.
Anything like that. This is just giving you some intel
Okay.
about your future. But I think it's time that we head on over to our final game.
This one's freaky, gang.
This one is, and I've heard about this for so long, and I will never do it. But it is called Elevator Game to the Other World.
Okay.
Also known as just the Elevator Game, known under lots of different titles. So the Elevator Game is a ritual game that you play by yourself, where you follow a bunch of very, very, very specific rules in an elevator alone that will take you to another world. Maybe a place that's very similar to our own world, but just darker. It seems really freaky. It doesn't seem like a place I want to go. It reminds me a little bit of the Upside Down.
Right.
I gotta admit, even though I don't want to do this and I will never do this, it does make you curious. You're like, what is this about? Going back to one of our earlier episodes, Elisa Lam.
Oh, yeah.
In the Cecil Hotel. For those of you who haven't listened to that episode, we recommend that you do, but the long and short of it is a young woman was at this hotel. There was CCTV coverage of her in an elevator acting very strange, and then later she was found dead in a water tank, essentially. So a lot of people think that maybe she was playing this game.
Interesting.
And that is kind of what happened. And that is why her death doesn't make any sense and is so mysterious.
That's wild. I'd never heard that before.
Yeah.
Huh.
Mm-hmm. Because, it just the circumstances of her death do not add up.
Right.
All.
Oh, yeah. Not at all.
And not even necessarily in a way that makes you think of like police conspiracy or government conspiracy. It's more so it just genuinely doesn't make physical sense.
Right.
So this is how the elevator game is played. You need to find a building that is at least 10 stories high. And also you need to do this when no one else is going to be using the elevator. So you can't just do this in the middle of the day. This is part of the challenge of the game, is even just finding a place where you can even do this.
So this is pretty much for like overnight security guards.
Essentially. Bored overnight security guards at like hospitals.
Yeah.
Or not even hospitals, at like museums.
Right.
Really tall museums. So this is how it works. The rules that I'm getting from this are from Thought Catalog. It is article by Daniel Hayes, so thank you. Enter the elevator from the first floor by yourself, and if anyone else enters the elevator with you, you gotta start over.
Okay.
It won't work. Then you press the button for the 4th floor, but don't get off at the 4th floor. Then press the 2nd floor button, but then don't get off at the 2nd floor. Then press the 6th floor button. Don't get off at the 6th floor. Press the 2nd floor button. Once you've reached the 2nd floor, don't get off and push the button for the 10th floor. Some people at this point have reported hearing a voice calling to them on the 2nd floor during the middle section of this ritual. Do not reply, do not answer, do not acknowledge this in any way.
All right.
Once you have reached the 10th floor, stay on and hit the button for the 5th floor. Now at this point, people have reported that a woman may enter on the 5th floor. She may appear as a stranger who is trying to talk to you. She may even appear as someone that you know and that is trying to talk to you.
So she's trying to interact.
She's trying to interact.
Okay.
But you cannot interact, look at her, glance at her, acknowledge her in any way. And even if the room is reflective, like, a lot of elevators have mirrored walls.
Right.
You got to look down. You can't even see a reflection of her. Now you got to hit the button to go to the 1st floor. But when you hit that button, the elevator is just going to take you up to the 10th floor. That's how you know that the ritual has been done successfully. But if you hit that 1st floor button at this point and you actually go to the 1st floor, something's gone wrong and you need to get off the elevator and leave the building immediately. And if the woman is still that woman that got on earlier is still in the elevator, you need to continue to ignore her as you're exiting the elevator. But
this is freaky.
This is fucking weird. And also, as you can tell, it's very complicated and weird. Like, people go into this with it written down somewhere. You know what I mean? Like, you can't really remember.
Yeah, this is complicated.
Right. So if the ritual is going correctly and you're headed up to the 10th floor, once you reach the 10th floor, you can either stay on the elevator or you can exit the elevator.
Okay.
Some people have said that when they're trying to leave the elevator at the 10th floor, the woman in the elevator will one more time try to get you to stay in the elevator with her. And she may go absolutely crazy, screaming and all that stuff, but you just need to go on. But they do say also that you can stay on. So I guess it's just she's trying to take advantage of the fact that you are leaving. But staying itself isn't like a death sentence or anything. It's kind of odd. The way that you can know that you are definitely in the other world, it says, is that you will be the only person there. However, you're doing this in an empty place anyway.
Right,
so I don't... that might have to... We're going to read a personal experience that I found.
Interesting. Okay.
So that will answer some of our questions.
Okay.
Now, this is where we're going to get the answer. If you do not exit on the 10th floor, press the button for the first floor and keep pressing it until the elevator begins to move. Once you have reached the first floor, exit immediately and do not exit on any other floors but the first. And also, do not acknowledge the woman. And if anyone else gets on the elevator, stay silent. But here's the thing. If you do get off at the 10th floor, this is what can happen. The elevator you use to get there is the only one you can use to return it. The building itself might actually have other elevator banks, or this other world could be confusing. They might add some sort of elevator bank in this other world. So you need to really make sure you use the same elevator to leave.
I see.
So you can get out and walk around on that 10th floor, but the thing is, the more you kind of spend outside, the more confusing it gets, and it'll be harder for you to get the right one back and to get back the right way. Once you do get back on the elevator, press the buttons in the same order you did earlier, and that will take you to the 5th floor. Once you've hit the 5th floor, press the first floor button, but don't be surprised when you begin to ascend again to the 10th floor. But as it's going up to the 10th floor, you have that whole time to just press another button that is under 10, and then it'll take you there. And some people feel like they have like this compulsion to go back up to the 10th floor, but they say you mustn't do it. Once you have canceled the ascension and reach back to the first floor, make sure that everything seems normal to you. If anything seems just remotely strange or odd or something you don't recognize, you have to repeat the steps until everything on the first floor seems normal to you, because you could still be stuck in this other world. This is what makes me kind of think of the upside down. But once you're satisfied that you are back in your own world, you can exit the elevator. Some people say that they have passed out, and when they wake up, they feel like they're at home, but they're not actually at home. They are still doing the ritual, and they are still stuck in the other world. Are you ready to hear a personal experience of someone who has played the elevator game?
Buckle up, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, now
We're at max capacity in this baby.
I'm going to jump ahead a little bit, because the beginning of this woman's experience playing the elevator game was normal, was good.
Right.
She followed all of the steps. So we're going to jump ahead to the 5th floor, the time when some people say that a woman may get on the 5th floor with them. This is what she said. A woman did get on the 5th floor. The problem is I never had an opportunity to not look at her, because I was looking at the lights above the door telling me which floor I was on, and it startled me when the elevator suddenly stopped. By then, I was already looking at the door and she was getting on.
Oh.
This was so stupid of me. It was so obvious that I should have been facing the corner where the elevator buttons are, not staring at the lights telling me which floor I was on the whole time. I immediately thought, okay, no biggie, this is bullshit anyways. But I have to tell you, I was extremely nervous. And as I hit the button for the first floor and the elevator started moving again, I made sure to look down at the floor. That's when she started talking. She was a tiny thing. I'd seen that as she got on, and pretty. Her hair was a light blonde and had striking green eyes and freckles. She started talking about how there'd just been an accident on the 5th floor and asked if I would go back with her to help. This was totally nonsensical. She just gotten on the elevator in hopes that someone might be there and then go help? I didn't speak. It was too weird. No way I was going to speak to her. She said it again, and this time she sounded like she was getting angry. Again, I ignored her. The third time was very different. Hey, you fucking cunt bitch. I'm talking to you, you fucking cunt.
Wow.
Holy shit. I cannot tell you how scary that was. The hair on my arms was standing up, and I got that dizzy, confused feeling whenever something seems really and truly dangerous and you get that first hit of adrenaline. I'm sure I've moved completely into the corner of the elevator at this point. I know I was staring at the elevator buttons and wondering what was taking so long to go just 4 short floors. We should have already hit the first floor, but we seemed stalled on the 3rd, even though I could still feel the elevator moving. The next thing I knew, she had gone from calling me a cunt to this kind of soft weeping. I would say that it sounded sad or even mournful, but the truth is it didn't. It sounded despicable and pathetic. Remembering it now, the effect that her crying had wasn't to make me console her. The effect was that I suddenly found her disgusting. For no reason other than the sound of that crying, I suddenly found myself hating her, and she wouldn't stop crying. I could practically feel her body shuddering. She was crying so hard, and the wet sound of it seemed to fill the elevator, getting louder and louder until I simply couldn't take it anymore. Hatred filled me, and turning around, I yelled, "Shut up!" as I grabbed her by the blonde hair and smashed her head into the elevator door over and over and over again. I couldn't stop myself, blood spattering across the seam in the elevator door, and she still kept weeping. The sound rising in pitch and shifting in pattern until it was no longer a cry but a kind of cackle. She was happy. Oh God, no, I thought. She's happy. This is what she wanted. And like that, I realized that I had not only looked at her when she came in through the elevator door, but I had acknowledged her. And worse than that, I had touched her, grabbed her hair, and struck her. I'd given her what she wanted. And then, ding, went the elevator door. We had arrived on floor 1. Turning, the woman's face was no longer that of a pretty young girl, but was contorted in a face of pure pleasure, as if she had been relieved of a burden long carried, as she stepped off the elevator and into the lobby, blocking my exit. The door slammed closed, and the elevator began a rapid ascent. I pressed every button on the elevator's console, trying to stop it, but nothing responded. The buttons were dead. Faster and faster, the elevator ascended until a loud creak and squeaking of the cables, it came to a complete stop. The floor indicator light read 10. The doors opened, and nothing. There was nothing. It was just the 10th floor of the building. On the right and left were offices with glass doors and windows. Inside, people answered phone calls or appeared to be in meetings, just your basic stuff. I hit the elevator button for the first floor, and the elevator moved slowly downward. At the lobby, I stepped out and quickly walked out of the building and onto the street. I didn't know what in the hell I had just experienced, but I knew I didn't want any part of it. I immediately called my boyfriend and told him what happened on the elevator, and he just laughed and said he didn't believe me. He compared what I'd told him to the things he'd read about Elisa Lam. He wasn't listening to me at all, so caught up in his little spooky fantasy that all he could do was try and pick my story apart with the bullshit he'd read on internet forums. He said what had happened to me was impossible, and that I was just making stuff up to try and win our bet. I hung up and shut off my phone. This is the part I really need you to listen to. This part really matters. The next morning, after going to sleep in my own bed, I opened my eyes. I was standing in the middle of an office building of some kind, fully dressed. The light was dim, and as I peered out the window, I saw what I can only describe as a dead city. A faint, dim light on the horizon illuminated everything with a crimson sheen that glimmered like a greasy film in the low light. There was no sound. I don't mean it was quiet. I mean the place was absent of sound. Ahead of me was an elevator, and the floor indicator read 10. I pushed the button to call the elevator in such a panic that sweat seemed to instantly cover my body. The elevator arrived. The door opened. I got on it, and it took me down to the lobby, where the low red light had gone, and in its place was the normal lobby I had been in the day before, and it was morning. This has happened every night and quote-unquote morning for the past 10 nights. During the day, when I'm out of my apartment, I see the blonde girl's face in every crowd, but she always disappears once I try to focus on her. On the 6th morning that I found myself in the building, the elevator quit working and I took the stairs down to the lobby. And I've had to take the stairs every night since, but they get longer and longer. Yesterday morning, after walking down at least 50 flights of steps, I opened the stairwell door at the floor I was on and I was back at the 10th floor. It took what seemed hours to finally get out after that. I am afraid that tonight I will be trapped. I can feel it in my bones that this is it. I will never be able to get out again. I've been trying to stay awake, but I never can, no matter how much caffeine I've had or what I'm doing. Even worse, I saw the pretty young girl with the blonde hair 2 nights ago in the stairwell. I didn't see her clearly, but more like out of the corner of my eye below me, and I could hear light footsteps. She's there. She's in the building with me. She has something in store for me, I'm sure of it. Please do not play this game. It will be the end of you. Otherworld isn't something to be fucked around with or like a hobby or a spooky thing to try on a dare. It's a prison, and when I finally fall asleep, I know I will have become its most recent resident.
Right, citizens of the Milky Way, that is going to wrap us up for Ritual Games 2, Playin For Keeps.
Playin For Keeps, baby.
Maureen, thank you for doing all of that fabulous research.
Thank you so much to you.
Once again, if you'd like to support us on Patreon, go to www.patreon.com/CreepStreetPodcast.
For some fun extra content.
Citizens of the Milky Way, my name is Dylan Hackworth,
I'm Maureen Bogey.
and this is Creep Street.
Good night.
And goodbye.
Yeah.